Now, the Executive Director of the Institute for Educational Studies, Dr. Peter Pateanti, joins us via Zoom for a conversation on what's happening to our international students. Doc, thank you for your time. You're welcome. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Right. So, we've had issues with our international students. The first one had to do with the Russia-Ukraine war, where some students in Russia, obviously, and Ukraine were facing challenges. Now we have Serbia, but this particularly has to do with the Secretariat's inability to release funds for the students. What do you think we should do, from this situation that we're reporting?
Well, I think that the whole scholarship secretariat is in a mess, and we need to pay particular attention to it, because you look at the amount of money that is pushed through that particular secretariat and the challenges that are coming up in recent times. It beats some of us are thinking. So I think that we just have to push so that we have a whole information of that particular secretariat. But in the immediate term, what we need to do is to admonish the secretariat to release funds to the students they have offered scholarship to study in Serbia. I'm told that it's been 11 months or so. That is highly inappropriate, because it means that these students would have to find other ways and means to be able to fend for themselves. And studying in someone's country or in a foreign land, it's not like doing it in your own country, where you can quickly dash to a relative's place and get one or two things. Here, you would have to struggle or forgo your studies and then undertake some menial jobs to be able to raise money to fend for yourself. So we cannot continue to punish these students like that. I think the Secretary should, as a matter of urgency, find resources and release their stipends to them.
Now, Peter, do you think that the current system we're dealing with should change in a way where students will apply once they get the admission to be funded, then the funds will be released to them once, so that gradually they'll be doing their own funding as they go? Or you think that's also risky?
Well, I think that we will have to discuss all these things in a broader framework that will lead to reformation of the scholarship secretariat and the way they operate. I know that there could be disadvantages with releasing all the money to the students. You cannot guarantee whether the students would complete the education, or maybe intermittently something will happen. So we have to discuss this within the framework of reforming the scholarship secretariat and their operations, and find the appropriate ways to be able to satisfy all those that we genuinely are giving scholarships to go and study abroad. I think that should be the focus. But immediately we should find ways and means to get their funds for them. But then any other idea should be looked at from the perspective of reforming the secretariat to meet the changing needs of the Ghanaian students in terms of our human capital development, in terms of the kind of professions that we want in this country, and the kind of human resource that we want to build in this country. I think if we are able to do that total reformation, we will be able to now streamline how we give money to the students when they are going outside their jurisdiction.
So what's the consequences with the prolonged delays in the disbursement of their funds?
As I initially said, one of the things that is going to happen is that some of the students are going to abandon their study and then resort to getting themselves involved in one or two jobs to be able to get money to fend for themselves. One of the things that we also have to even note is that when you are given a scholarship, there's a certain GPA that you're supposed to get. Mm-hmm. So it's going to affect them, because if you are abandoning your study and you are now you are combining your study with working, that it's going to have an impact on your academic work.
So in the case where they are unable to even raise the funds by working, it is highly possible that we're not going to get value for money, even from the beginning, that we may have funded some or part of the education.
Hello?
Peter, can you hear me? Hello, Peter Auntie?
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you, Peter. Can you hear me? Right, so we were trying to have a conversation with Peter Anti, who is an educational expert, analyzing the situation with students in Serbia, Ghanaian students in Serbia, who have actually not been able to receive any funds from the scholarship secretariat for about 11 months, almost a year now. And we're calling on the Education Ministry to come through and see if we can push for something to push their support in education. But we'll give you some more details subsequently. But Dennis Opong Treme is the president of the National Union of Ghana Students, and he joins me via Zoom for this information to shed more light on the situation that we're faced with. Dennis, thank you for your time. You're welcome. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. My name is Daniel Treme Opong Daniel.
It's Daniel instead. Okay. Okay. Daniel, thank you. Thank you, Treme. So describe the situation. Firstly, how many students are currently, what's it called, in a situation where they have not received their stipends? How many of you?
All right, so thank you for the opportunity. I extend greetings to all Ghanaian students in Serbia and other jurisdictions as well. As you rightly said, the issue is not just Serbia. We are having issues in Hungary as well. And even some of our students in UK and other jurisdictions who are all complaining of the delayance in their stipends. Yeah, so now as we speak, we are having more than 100 students in Serbia, similarly to other sections as well. I think it's been a worrying issue, especially when we find ourselves in this hard moment and students are not getting the necessary or required funds to keep the educational systems running in the countries they find themselves in. We've had a lot of calls from these places. Last week, we had a meeting with Scholarship Secretariat, especially on students on Hungary. We had a meeting with Mr. Richard Jemfi, who is the International Relations Officer for the Scholarship Secretariat, on why the funds has not been released to these students on time. And trust me, the Scholarship Secretariat is not under the Ministry of Education. It's under the Office of the Presidency that controls the Scholarship Secretariat. It's not under the Ministry of Education. So mostly matters regarding their funding is all regulated by the Ministry of Finance, Controller and Accountant General Department, and also the Chief of Staff under the Office of the President that handles the Scholarship Secretariat. Upon our engagement, because it's been predominant.
But Daniel, under the current situation, I think every educational problem or challenge, obviously, the Education Ministry has oversight on that, or we don't even have any flexibility in the arrangements or the procedures.
All right, so the Ministry of Education, with this one, that is not in a way, though it's an educational matter, but the whole scheme, it's not under the Ministry of Education. It's handled by a different department. That is the Office of the Presidency, which handles Maslow, Scholarship Secretariat, and other organizations as well, though it concerns education, which is a key prior issue to us. So the quick thing we could have done was to reach out to the Scholarship Secretariat to know the plans in place, because we didn't want it to be continuously predominant. When you get to some of the...
Do we know if the students started calling the attention of authorities of the Secretariat maybe after 1 month, 2 months failed to provide their stipends? Daniel. Hello, Daniel.
Yes, so it's almost 11. Please, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, so I was saying that it's been months. Even some of the institutions, especially in UK, at a point that we had to quickly intervene. Else, some of the students whose visas were up were asked to come back to their home country because of the failure of the Scholarship Secretariat to pay. And now, aside we working on the Scholarship Secretariat, much of our energies has been directed to the Ministry of Finance and Controller Accountant Department to fast track most of these payments, because it's been a dying moment for most of our students who find themselves in these places, especially going there on scholarship, and Scholarship Secretariat is not paying this amount of money due to facilitate your education. That is becoming so much problematic. As we are engaging the Scholarship Secretariat, we are engaging the Ministry of Finance the Accountant General to mostly fast-track most of these funds because our students are really suffering out there. So the advocacies are ongoing, and we are hoping that as soon as possible. They promised us that in May, they will be paying all stipends, all undue stipends are supposed to go to these countries, especially Hungary, Serbia, UK, China, and all the other countries that have Ghanaian students studying in there on the Scholarship Secretariat platform.
Right. You said that they're suffering. What's the nature of the suffering? Is it dropouts, less hours to learn, maybe not being given access time for lectures? What exactly is the nature of their suffering?
All right. So one of the key worrying issues recently some students called me to report is that originally when they get there, because they are on stipends, they get full attention to study. But now when stipends are not coming, you are forced to look for a menial job that will keep you along the line whilst you are studying. So now you would have to get out there and engage yourself in a lot of menial works. And at a point, you don't get that kind of space and even freedom and that serene environment to study. And mostly some of them has to also do with one or two fees as well, which at a point, some of the universities are threatening of asking them out of school or rustication and all these things. So it's putting a lot of pressure. Some of them would have to be doing more than 3 jobs to be able to get funds to run. But originally, that's not supposed to be so. If the Scholarship Secretariat is releasing the funds, or the Ministry of Finance and even the Controller General is doing the due thing they are supposed to do, I don't think most of our students will be going through these ordeals.
Did we draw the attention of the Scholarship Secretariat from month 1 when the failure of releasing stipends started till now that we are in month of 11?
All right, so per the communications, there have been some consistent engagement with these groups because mostly we don't hear of these stipend issues unless it becomes dire. So normally the assurance is being given to them on specific months that they are supposed to pay the stipends. But unfortunately, it comes with another disappointment of them not having the accurate stipends they are supposed to get. So that brings us to what is happening today, where a lot of agitations comes up. Normally, it do happen 1 month, 2 months, they give promises or even assure them that stipends will be paid on this particular month, but it gets there and it doesn't come. So that when it gets here, then they would have to come out, have a lot of press conferences on why it's not coming. I think per the last conversation, the Director General, the CEO, have initiated a conversation with all the blocks and hoping to engage them to know the way forward. But that is not the key thing we are looking at. We are looking at them being able to pay them as soon as possible so that life becomes very comfortable. As they promised us and assured us in our last visit,
when last
May,
did you engage the Scholarship Secretariat?
Last week.
And what did they say?
They are saying they are going to pay all the stipends in May.
What?
The first week in May.
First week in May?
Yes, please.
With all the arrears?
So we are hoping. Yes, the arrears that they are owing the students. It's not just Serbia alone, but also China and also Hungary. That we recently had a lot of students agitating on the non-payment of their stipends. And
all these places, Serbia, Hungary, China, are all, numbering 11 months or almost a year of non-payment.
No, there are a lot of variations in the stipends that has been paid. Some of the places is just 2 months, some of them is 3 months, others 4 months. So there are a lot of variations when it comes to the stipends payment. Some of them also have been issues with the school fees payment. And I think with that one, some of them, especially in the UK, has been solved by the Scholarship Secretary intervening on having an arrangement with the university on specific times they will be paying. But with the stipends, we can't have arrangements because this one is going directly into the living conditions of these students. So we are just hoping quickly they could fast track as they promised. Within May, they come out to pay. Else, we would have to also find another means on quickly getting there to ensure the Scholarship Secretary, the Ministry of Finance, and the Controller and Accountant General Department disburse due stipend to these students.
Right, Dennis, Daniel Opong Shreme, we're grateful for speaking to us here on Newsbeat. Thank you. We'll be liaising with you to check the updates for these. And that's the updates. And he's actually telling us that it's not just Serbia, but Hungary, China as well. And with regards to the countries, the months will differ, but it depends on, you know, how the calculation obviously is done. We'll be following through and bringing some more subsequently in Metro News.